Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of the BLS-Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Derrison, and today we are updating you across the BLS projects. Everything we got going, mainly the routes today. And I'm joined today by none other than Samuel Beeman.
Hello, fellow simmers. How are we all doing? It's nice to be here.
Well, thank you for joining us again, Sam.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Right, just a quick thing first before we really get into this podcast. The screenshots you are seeing as myself and Sam are discussing everything, these are all randomised. They are not in a specific order. They are screenshots of, I think, three or four of the routes that we are currently working on.
Yeah, it's all the routes that we're going to be discussing in this video, shown up on the screen.
So before we get into these projects, we should maybe mention the recent releases we've had from BLS. Would you say, Sam?
Yeah, so obviously we've had the infamous Network Rail Stock Pack Volume 1, which was made by BLS member Sam Arner. And to be honest, we was absolutely relieved to get that out because that has been long overdue.
That did take a long time to get done and get correct and get finished off.
It had so many teething issues throughout the 6 months. It was like pulled back like 6 months. That's just how long, it was overdue. So it's just great to have that out, and that's all thanks to Callum of 84F Works, who helped save that pack and fixed the bat file problems that Sam was having. So yeah, a big shout out to him and a thanks to him for doing that, really. Yeah, and also the most recent release has been obviously the Great Central Railway's Locomotive pack, which is a massive pack, and as we all saw in the previous podcast, just the amount of work that went into it it's just staggering, really. It was fantastic, and everyone who worked on it did a grand job on it, and it's just great to see it out and about.
And there was more added to it after the podcast as well. So I think there was another 3 reskins added to the pack, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and then there was also the 31s, which have now been discontinued from the website, the Golden Ochre ones.
Yep.
They were all added to the pack as well. So in total, you get 20 reskins in that one pack. It's quite incredible, really.
Yeah, it was a big undertaking, and let's say it was a lot of head scratching to get it right, so people could enjoy it the best way possible.
Yeah.
So
It's good. So if you haven't got it yet, guys, go and download it and go and take a look at it. It would be nice to see like a few screenshots on the community pages and maybe even some videos. It'd just be nice to see that pack and and people enjoying that pack. It would be nice to see that.
And if anyone is in our Discord server, just please add screenshots to there. We can always use them in these podcasts, as it were. We can use your screenshots in these, and it just helps us to get an idea on what people are enjoying and what people feel that should be changed. We really need the feedback, as it were.
All feedback takes into account, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. Helps us improve and get better. So, speaking of the Great Central Locomotives pack, we all had a bit of a meet-up, didn't we?
Yes, the Steam Gala at the GCR, which was about 2 weeks ago now, I think, wasn't it? I think it was 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yes, I think it was 2 weeks ago. That's gone quick. So that was at the end of January, if anyone's wondering. End of January 2022. Yeah, it was the majority of the BLS staff had a meet-up and just had a good weekend, as it were. Really enjoyed it.
I think there was only like two of us that weren't there. It was Jake and Steve who wasn't there, weren't they?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. But it was great, and we've got a vlog coming of that. It's a new series we're planning on making for the channel called BLS Vlogs. So every time we have a meetup, we're going to do like little vlog videos, just like just showing what we see and just really just a day-to-day life of railway enthusiasts sort of thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and the other thing I think we was looking at doing is when we go on to recce's, as it were, to do research for our packs, we was looking at doing these vlogs to sort of give a behind the scenes look into BLS as well, to how we go about doing things.
That's not a bad idea, actually. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is a good idea. Well, we'll do that. Mm.
So let's get on to the actual reason whilst we're here. So this is mainly route updates, as I said at the beginning. So I'll let Sam decide which route we'll start with first.
Well, let's start with the Merlin Light Railway, shall we?
Yeah, okay,
Considering
let's do that.
that's been a route that was spoken about, and well, according to Ethan, was apparently supposed to be released in December 2021, which,
Yep.
well, you and me both knew that that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, there was a lot of. The nicest way to say it was that there's been a lot of issues behind the scenes for that route. But I believe it's fairly imminent. I think we've just got scenarios to do on it now, Sam, if I'm not mistaken.
The last bits are to do the scenarios, and obviously it's just Ethan. He needs to sort the manual out because he's made some errors on writing on the manual, and that does need sorting. So it's just a case of the manual and the scenarios that are remaining with phase 1 of it.
Yeah.
And then Ethan's obviously on about making a phase 2, which will extend the route to like a mainline connection.
Yep.
So it would lead to like a terminus station with a mainline connection. And I don't know whether he's going to like model the main line a little bit, or, you know, if you can drive along the main line a little bit, I don't know. It all depends what he wants to do with it, really. But yeah, it's got a few plans in the future after phase 1's release. But, you know, we're not going to really say when that's going to happen because we don't know. So
no, that is down to Ethan. And here's a quick screenshot of one of the stations on the Merlin Light Railway. So for clarity, we will be doing another podcast with Ethan Hunt, solely talking about the Merlin before it's released. So if you're interested in that particular route, come along and join us for the podcast where we will go an in-depth look into the Merlin Light Railway.
yes, and that'll be an interesting little podcast, won't it?
Yep, should be.
Just to get, and then that'll give us the ideas. That'll give us more information about it, and the future of it, obviously.
Yeah, more information than myself and Sam have for that route. It's all Ethan that's got all that side of it.
But I think that's all we can really say about the Merlin Light Railway at the moment, in the means of updates, because we don't really know a great deal at the moment, apart from we know that the phase 1 of the route is pretty much nearly done now.
Right,
so moving on.
Yep.
Moving on.
Yeah. Mid Norfolk, shall we go with?
Yes, let's speak about the Mid Norfolk, shall we?
Yeah, let's go with that. So, obviously, Sam, you're heading this project. Last time we saw the Mid Norfolk was in the live stream. So, we're seeing a few screenshots on screen of the Mid Norfolk. Tell us what's been going on.
Well, first of all, custom assets have started to emerge by Steve. So basically, I need to go down to the Mid Norfolk Railway at some point this year to get a few photos of some of the buildings, to do a recce, basically. At the moment, we have reference images for the signal box at Dereham and the tool hut, which has been modelled, and it's actually on one of these screenshots. It will probably come round soon, and I'll be able to explain it once it pops up.
Yep.
But the platform 2 tool hut has been 3D modelled using Blender by Steve. He's done an absolutely fantastic job on it, really. He took months. It took him months. Well, I wouldn't say months, but weeks to make that. Just that one tool, the tool shack, as it were.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is interesting to see that we're finally getting some custom assets being made by our own team, which is a first. We've never done this before, so that is something that will be really interesting with the Mid Norfolk. Is it's the first time that anyone's going to see BLS custom assets, custom made by ourselves. So as you see, that there's Derham. We've
That's
gone
like
to
it's
we've
like
gone to Erridge now, but
oh, that's gone. Yeah, I've lost it.
there's no way of going back to it, is there?
No, like I say, the pictures are random, so it's if I catch it, I'll stop the pictures.
Oh, yeah. I just started talking about it. It changed.
Yeah, I know.
It's
It's just
typical, isn't
tied
it?
up there.
That's another one of Merlin there. Look.
Yeah, that's Merlin's sheds.
Yeah. So unfortunately, these are randomised, so it's a bit of a pain. Here, it's Derham here.
Yeah.
Look.
There we go.
See?
There we go. Got it.
So as you can see, we've got a sign to the left saying Derham. This is a asset made by Steve. It's more of a reskin, if anything, than a custom one. But it's to resemble the sign that's on the platform. And technically, it's supposed to be a 3D sign, so the lettering is supposed to be 3D. And I did ask Steve if he could make these 3D, and he said, "Yeah, Sam, I can do that. I can make a whole new asset for it and make it 3D." But he said the problem with it is it will kill the frames a little bit because obviously as you load up areas, it can have obviously tile lag and stuff like that, and it would make it more prominent if it was 3D lettering. So to keep it more uh, frame rate friendly, he decided to take the 2D, 3D approach to make it 2D but look 3D. So it's got like an outline, like a, so, what's the word? What do you call it?
Shadowing, as it were.
Yeah, it's got a border around it, around the lettering, so it looks like it's got shadows around it, so it looks 3D, but it isn't.
Yeah.
It's sort of a similar approach to what Will does with his nameplates that he does on the reskins.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And that signal box in the distance over there is eventually going to be custom, but at the moment it's just using a placement from the Just Trains North Norfolk Railway, which isn't far off to be fair, but to be honest, I think everyone would like a custom signal box and not one that's reused.
Well, yeah, like I say, it would be nice to have something represented, and as our team is developing their skills even more, and it's becoming more readily available to do these custom assets, why not? It's a good chance to show off certain skills.
That's why I'm excited about the mid. I just think because the Mid Norfolk is going to be the first route that we've ever had any custom assets on that are of our own design,
I'm just gonna
and
click.
that
I'm just gonna
and it's
start
going
the
to be
pictures going again.
is it all right? Yeah. So basically, that's really the updates on the Mid Norfolk. Is obviously we've had custom assets start being made, and I've just started on the section between Yaxham to Derham, finishing off the trees and fields, which is a nightmare of a job. I hate doing it. It's a horrible job doing trees and fields, but we'll get there in the end. And I'm hoping my aim is to get it out and about by the middle of this year. I want to get it out by summer at least.
Okay.
But again, I can't say that's a definite because it depends on the obviously me finishing off the detailing, and it also depends on the amount of custom assets that Steve needs to make because there is a good chunk of custom assets that Steve needs to make.
Mhm.
So it could pull it further back than summer. But the thing is, what people need to realize is quality takes time. So even though it might take a little while, it will be worth the wait in the end.
Yeah, of
And
course.
that's what it's all about. Yeah.
I'm just hoping that the pictures can come back round to the is it the tool shed that's been done? You said.
Yeah, there hasn't been a photo of the tool shed pop up yet, has there really?
It's in there somewhere.
Well, I call it the tool shed, but to be honest, one of the Mid Norfolk staff members said it's a lamp hut. That's
Ah,
what they
okay.
call
The
it.
lamp hut.
Yeah, so it's in the list. It's called Dereham Lamp Hut. So that's what it's called because it has a little lamp on top of the door and fire buckets as well.
Hey,
So
is that it there?
yeah, there is, yeah, there it is. There it is. It's a shame we ain't got a front view of it, but there is the lamp hut there. Look, with its three windows and the green guttering there. But as I say, that's entirely custom made by Steve, and as I say, it's the first custom asset that we have produced as a team. Well, apart from a couple that have been already made for the Trunley Close Railway Centre route, but that's another story. But yeah, that's the first. That's going to be the first official released custom asset by us, and
Hmm.
yeah, I think it looks pretty good, doesn't it, Jordan? Really?
Well, yeah, I say I haven't had a close encounter with it. All I've had is these screenshots, and from these screenshots, I think it's a damn good model, good representation of what should be there, as it were.
Yeah, he's also made it so it's not just a block and photo textured on there. It's actually got indentations for the windows, so they actually look 3D when you're looking at them.
Okay.
They're not just photo textured on the side. So it gives it a bit of depth to the model, really.
Mm.
And yeah, and it's exciting. It's exciting. It's a new step for us, and I think that the Mid Norfolk is definitely going to be quite revolutionary when it comes out because it will be known as the first route that BLS have ever done custom assets for, bar the signs. Because obviously we've done previous little bits and pieces like little signs and things, for the Whitwell and Reepham Railway and stuff like that. But these are fully custom modelled buildings, which is a bigger step than the custom signs that have been made.
Yeah.
Because making buildings is a whole nother level than making signs. It's more complicated, as Steve put it. Right, so we're gonna move on to our next route, I think, because I think I've discussed all of the mid that needs to be discussed, really.
Okay. Right. Okay. So we'll move on to the next one, and maybe the next one we should talk about, as it is the one that's got the most screenshots of, would be Spa Valley.
Yeah. Oh, before we do move on, just pause it there, will you?
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Rewind it.
So I'm just going to talk a little bit more about the Mid Norfolk because, as you can see, there is another one of Steve's custom assets, and that there is the Dereham station lamp, which is entirely custom because it has to be, because the writing is on the top of the lamp. As you see, it says Dereham on the lamp there.
Yep.
There's nothing like it in Train Sim, and there was nothing close to it. So I had to say, Steve, look, can you just make this lamp? And he's gone and done it. And that is, yeah, another custom asset by Steve. It's obviously got the concrete pole and obviously the lamp top there. I
Yeah.
mean, there's not really much else to say about a lamp, is there?
Not really.
But
But so the Mid Norfolk is going to have quite a few custom assets, whether they're going to be buildings or the smaller assets, just to add to the detail of the route.
yeah, it's going to be ram-packed for the little things. It's got lots of little details for people to enjoy and a lot of Easter eggs. So it will be a really interesting route and enjoyable for the public. Well, I hope so anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it got good feedback on its Phase 1 release, which was obviously originally by Attraction Studios, and that got a good amount of publicity and people liked it. And also, but that route was a beta, and it's nothing like what it is now.
Yeah.
It's come a long way since then. So
Okay.
yeah,
Right. Let's do it. Let's move on to that Spa Valley.
yeah.
So
So we've got let's steer him again. Look,
yeah. Well, why is it when we try to move on to something else, all the pictures of Dereham turn up?
it's Erich now.
Oh,
Look.
look, here we go. Right, we're at image. Right. So recently, myself and Sam have been in talks with Benjamin, who's the newest member of our team, who is spearheading the project to revamp the old UKTS Spa Valley route. And from the first lot of pictures, that's all we had originally, was just pictures that he sent to us. It was looking promising, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it was looking good, and it was something that I said to him because I saw he was working on it. I mean, he randomly just popped up showing images of the Spa Valley, I think, in one of the Discord servers, and I said to him,
Mm.
because we had something like that in the planning for quite some time. We wanted to do that route. It was like when we started on the North York Moors, we almost thought about, oh, what future routes could we do after we've done this?
Okay.
And one of the main things that came into mind was the Spa Valley Railway, because that was seriously outdated.
Yeah.
Like seriously, because that was built in like 2008.
It was
So
one. It was
old
one of the
now.
first sort of proper routes, freeway routes that were done, really, wasn't it?
It was one of the first ever, yeah, freeware heritage railways out there for rail works. And it was just in a much needed, it's just needed an update. So I spoke to Benjamin, or at the time I knew him as BJP, which is what most of the time I put up on Facebook posts. He's obviously known as BJP for most. And he said, yeah, I need people to help me out, and I need somewhere to release it when it's done. And it just went from there, really. We became friends and stuff until eventually it got to the point where we said, you know what, would you like to become part of the team? And there he is. He's now part of the BLS team, isn't he?
Yep.
And he's going to be helping us with a few routes in the future as well as his own,
Mhm.
preferably after he's finished Spa Valley, obviously. But obviously, me and you, Jordan, have been doing a lot of work on it recently, haven't we, this week?
Yeah. So to give people a brief summary of what's been going on, we had a meeting with um, Benjamin with regarding to how, well, what's the progression stage that he wants to get the Spa Valley to, and what help he needs with. And he basically just turned around to me and Sam said, if you could do section between Erridge and Groombridge, that'll help me out a lot. And I think I mean, this was only, what, Sunday it was, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So we've had 4 days on it, I think, and we've pretty much got the majority of the scenery between that section done. I mean, Sam's done a fantastic job of extending the uh,
The car
car
park,
park.
as
That's it.
seen on the left.
I lost my words there.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Because the
it's
car park, there was a problem with the original route that the car park was too short. But I think originally, when the route was based, the car park was shorter than what
it
it is
was
now.
yeah it was yeah
Yeah, so obviously I've extended it and looked at photos as much as I can to get it as close as I can to the real thing. But one of the main problems I have with the Spa Valley is when you go on Google Maps, you because the route was built pre Google Maps. That was around obviously the time when Google Maps wasn't even a thing into the game. And he had, I think Jordan, you said he had to use some other way of building the route, didn't he, or something like that?
yeah he had to, if I'm not mistaken, it was tile overlays, if I'm not mistaken, something along
Yeah,
those
but
lines. If I remember right, that's how it used to do these routes.
yeah, so because of that, some parts are slightly inaccurate, and that's Erich itself. The
Hmm.
station is actually placed too far down than where it's supposed to be, and we can't really do much about that without
No,
ripping up the whole area and restarting it all over again, can we?
no, it was going to be too big a job for what was already done. So
Yeah,
people have to try to bear in mind this is a revamp. This is not a complete new route.
no,
There is some sections that we are in the process of completely ripping out and redoing because they're so far out, but they're in places that can be redone. Whereas something like Erridge was just going to be too big a project to do.
yeah.
So
So the whole route is going to be accurate because Tunbridge Wells is spot on. There's no issues with that whatsoever.
yep.
Same with Grimbridge Station itself. All of that area is fine, but the main bits that are slightly out is Erich and a section between Grimbridge and High Rocks in the fields.
Yeah. So that
And
so the field area is what one we are looking into of, um, in a sense, gutting and relaying the track to get it to the track bed that's on the Google Maps, to get it a bit more in line. It's not that far out, but it's enough to do something with.
mm, mm. That is one of the biggest flaws with it, and that's, as I say, I had issues with the car park with that, because it's it does go to the correct spot of where it should be, but the trouble is, platform one of Erridge goes further out than the car park, when technically platform one of Erridge should be behind the car park, and the car park should be going further out.
Right.
So it's a little bit back to front, as it were.
Yeah.
And I can't do anything about that without ripping up the whole area. And this is the problem. It's so much. It would just be so much work to rip it all out, because the trouble is, if you've got one thing placed wrong, the whole area is placed wrong.
Yeah, and
So that
like you
means you
say,
have
you
to.
like you say, you would be starting again, really, wouldn't you? You basically be
Yeah,
starting a whole
you'd
new
have
route.
to. Exactly, you'd have to rip out all the trees, all the buildings that have been placed around there. All of the fields would need respraying. It's too much to do that.
As I say,
And
this is a revamp,
yeah,
but a
and to be
revamp
honest,
to what we can accomplish with the things we've got in place already.
yeah, and to be honest, if I'm going to be brutally honest, it's not that bad.
No.
I drove along it in the 73, and I thought, yes, this looks like Spa Valley. It feels like Spa Valley, and that's what people want. They want it to look and feel like it, like they're actually driving along the route, in a
Exactly.
sense.
I mean,
And that's what
as you
it
said
does
earlier,
give.
Sam, as you said earlier, the when you put the Google Maps overlay onto the route, Tunbridge Wells is actually really spot on. There's
Yeah.
not much wrong with it. Same with High Rocks and same with Groombridge. It's just Erridge is slightly out, and there's a bit of track work that needs doing between Groombridge and High Rocks. But apart from that, it's a fairly accurate representation of the route.
Yeah, so obviously when it's released and done, the only part that's going to be slightly out is Erridge. The rest of the
Yeah,
route is all
true,
spot on.
true.
It's only a small thing. It's not massive. It's not the whole route is going to be out, because the rest of it will be fine. It's just Erridge, which is a little bit wrong
Yeah.
compared to everywhere else.
So,
But I'm pretty sure by the detail that's been put on there, people won't notice it anyway.
oh
Because
no, no,
to
no,
be
no.
honest, it didn't. It honestly, when I was driving along there, I didn't really notice it at all. I just thought, this is the Spa Valley Railway. That's what I thought in my head. This is great.
Yeah, that's
Just
what
by
we
doing
want.
the something that we've done.
Yeah.
Mm.
Speaking of Erridge, we're gonna pull it back to Steve again. He's got involved with the route as well, hasn't he? Can you just
Yeah.
give a bit of
Yeah.
clarity on what he's been doing in that sort
Yeah.
of
Okay. So
sense?
Steve. So basically, a lot of the old Spa Valley Railway assets are not fantastically optimized, because obviously they were built years ago. And I just want to put out there a thanks to Jeff Potter, who actually gave us the permission to edit the assets and basically release the route with his assets. He is perfectly fine with it. He said to us that he's been looking into revamping the Spa Valley Railway anyway, but he just cannot physically find the time to do it. So he's perfectly fine for somebody else to do it. So, which is why obviously the job has come down to us to do it. So one of the things that Steve's going to be doing with the assets that are included with the route is he's going to be changing the textures of them, because they're very outdated now, and there's a bug with them that has this like glow effect, and apparently it's a coding problem with the assets, where it gives out this very bright glow It's not, and it's sort of a bright, in-your-face nuclear kind of look, as people put
Yeah.
on RailSim users group, because we did have comments saying that all the assets look a bit nuclear, they look a bit bright. That's being sorted out. Steve's going to be revamping those assets and just giving them a little bit more of depth. He's going to make them look a little bit weathered in areas. He's going to pick out bits and pieces to make them look more realistic. He's not changing them completely. A majority of it's going to be exactly the same. Most of it will be exactly the same. But the only thing that he is doing is he's revamping the textures to make them look realistic. Bar Grimbridge, because Grimbridge is going to have a repaint because, as you know, nowadays it's been repainted into Southern Green instead of LMS Red that it used to be in. So he's going to have to reskin the canopies and the signal box, as well as the lamps, into green, just to make it spot on to the real thing, what it is today. So we're trying to give the Spa Valley the look of what it is today. We're not backdating it. It's going to be based on modern era, nowadays, present, current day form of the Spa Valley. Yeah. And so, yeah, he's going to be revamping those, sorting them out, making them look better. And I can already tell just by him fixing the glow effect that it's going to look a lot better, because he's fixed the glow on Erich, and it already looks a massive improvement to what it was. So as you can see there on this photo here, you notice how Grimbridge there, the signal box, and especially the building there, are glowing very bright. I mean, I know that I've put lighting because I've added TSX lighting to it, so it's actually lights up the station at night time, which is great as well.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see just how much it sticks in your face, how much it glows.
Yeah.
That's gonna go. That's gonna go. We're not gonna have that now. And all them red lights and red canopy ethic are all gonna be green.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So there's still a lot more to do to the Spa Valley that is by nowhere near ready for release. There's still a lot of work to do. So, but as always, we will keep you updated on the BLS Facebook page and even on our Discord page. If you're not a member of that, please come and join it, and just join in with all the friendly banter we have on it.
I'm excited for Spa Valley. I really am.
I am
mean,
too. Yeah.
it's a great project that Ben's done, and I just want to say Ben has done absolutely fantastic so far on it. Because bear in mind, he did the track. He's had to relay the track basically from scratch. He didn't change the bin file or anything like that. He has relayed that track. So all of the track you see at Erich was completely relayed, and all of the section will be relayed. So it's not a case of just a track swap. We have relayed every single piece of that track. Well, Ben has anyway. And obviously that's where me and Jordan are going to have that discussion with him about the fields that are a little bit out on the original route, whether he's going to relay the track in the right place or not, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it's going to be.
Yeah, but I think we've kind of, I think we're all going to end up agreeing that that needs to be sorted, really.
Yeah.
If he wants it as accurate as he can, which I believe he does. So, but yeah, it's a great project, and to be honest, even I say even the original route, it actually shocks me how close it is actually to the real thing. I mean, the guy did a good job considering it was pre-Google Maps. It was only that area. It's only that area in between Grimbridge and High Rocks that was out, wasn't it? And Erich.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing, really, considering. But yeah, it's going to be a great little route, and I think that we've done a really good amount of progress on that lately. Just as a team of three, because there's only three of us, isn't there? Really, well, there's four of us now working on it, so it's growing. Well, actually, if we want to go in total of how many of us are working on it, it is actually 6 of us,
Okay.
because we're forgetting about Will Braddock and Sam Arner here,
Yep. Well,
who,
they're working on a stock pack for Spa Valley.
yes, yeah, they're going to be doing. I know Sam's doing the coaching stock, so he'll be doing stuff like the Mark One coach, which has Southern Green on one side and then BR Blue Grey on the other.
Mhm.
And he's also done Kate, which is like the named green
Yeah,
Mark
the bar
One.
car. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we've got Will, who's doing 33063, which is very nearly complete. It just needs the mainline branding put on it, which is very difficult to find a good quality photo to really put it on the side. And he's also going to be doing 73140, which is the Network Southeast 73. And I believe he's also going to be doing the 31 Sister Dora, which is going to be a nice addition. And on top of that as well, we've also had some donations to the route, which is another awesome thing that has happened to us. We've got donations from Bradley Milligan, who gave us a shed asset for Tunbridge Wells. It's
Okay.
a very nice looking thing.
It
It's
is.
a
It is a
brand
really
new
nice model.
asset. It is, yeah. He's done a grand job on it. And it's just great to have the proper shed in there, because I think originally it was just some default Coogee thing, but now it's the proper shed, which is lovely to see. So we had some donations from him, and we also had a donation from Wilburton, who gave us a model of an Andrew Barclay saddle tank, Lady Ingrid, and it's a completely custom model. It's not a reskin, it's a train, but all it requires is the Isle of Wight, because it references the saddle tank audio from the Isle of Wight.
Okay.
But that's the only additional requirement. But we're getting a train model, we're getting custom assets, we're getting a whole new revamped route, we're getting stock and reskins. It's going to be fantastic, really. It really is.
It is a nice project to look forward to actually getting out into the public to enjoy.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll have a chat, another podcast with Benjamin, actually going through the route as well,
For
won't we?
sure, for sure. Yeah, that would be the
Yeah.
plan. So for all these routes that we are talking about today, um, the plan is to get all the project leaders for these routes into a podcast to just specifically talk about this route. So, like I said earlier, Ethan with the Merlin Light Railway. We'll get Sam back again for the Mid Norfolk when there's more updates on that and even bigger stuff to talk about, because I'm pretty sure there's more in the pipeline for that.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
also, we'll get Benjamin on the podcast for the Spa Valley to give a little insight to how he started the project and how he feels it's gone and the goals he's set out and if he's achieved them. And then, well, the only other route I can think of, and it's quite a highly anticipated route if I'm not mistaken, Sam,
Oh yes,
that would be North Yorkshire Moors Railway.
yes. That where we're in partnership with Steam Sound Supreme on.
Yes.
There has been some updates with that. So obviously Will's been working his nuts off on that route, and I'm telling you, he spent like 24 hours a day on that route for weeks on end. So a majority of the work was done by him, and it is really impressive what he's done. The only areas that I've done on it really is Pickering Town, because I felt that Pickering Town was in need of stuff, because there was just roads leading to nowhere. It was just stupid. You're right next to the to the town. You're basically on the track in Pickering Station under the canopy, and you usually see the high street, don't you? You see the high street, you see all the supermarkets in the distance, because all the roads are right next to the track, aren't they? So,
Yeah, all I can only comment on videos and the TV program for Scenic. So I've never been to North Yorkshire Moors, and
oh,
that's one of
okay.
my lists to go to.
All right, well, okay. So if anyone's actually been to the North Yorkshire Moors Railway, you will notice that there is roads leading up to high streets and supermarkets and things like that. Um, it was something that Andy didn't finish on his original route, so I felt that those needed to be put in there. So yeah, again, another massive thank you to Andy Galga, as he's known by most people, for giving us permission to update that route, and a thanks to John Astley as well for messaging Andy to give us permission for that route, because at the time John was part of BLS, and he was helping us work with it for a little while, wasn't he?
Yes.
Um, and what he's done, John did the track swap, I believe, to the West Highland Line track, and then it was Oliver Brailsford, Wandering 1500, who had to mess around with that track a little bit because it was all a little bit glitchy. There was a few areas where it sunk into the ground and bits and pieces like that. So Oliver went over it and just fixed it all up.
Okay.
And then yeah, and then John also changed the Sky to the Armstrong Powerhouse Sky Enhancement Pack as default. Now, there has been a problem with that. It hasn't worked properly. So I don't know what's going to happen with that in the future, because that was a lot of work for him to do that, and we can't seem to get it to fix. He's done it on the Spa Valley as well, funnily enough. And
Yeah,
he's also done the ground texture change on the Spa Valley as well, hasn't he?
he has. Yeah. The thing
And
we do have the file for the Sky uh, swap, but for some reason it's not transferring over properly.
no, yeah, so that is one of the main problems with the North York Moors at the moment, as well as other glitches such as missing foot crossings, which are something that Will's looking into patching up and correcting, because I don't understand why you and me, Jordan, are missing those foot crossings, because apparently they are part of the NYMR asset range,
Yeah.
but we have the route, and it just doesn't make any sense. So whether Will's got something wrong there, I don't know, but
So this is
yeah.
one of the reasons why this route has been kept on getting delayed and delayed and delayed, is because there is so many of these little glitches showing up, and to send the route out with these glitches showing would be, well, it wouldn't be right for the guys who have put so much work and effort into this route to
It'll be
revamp it,
chaos.
to get it to the state it's at. Because I say I've been testing the route for Will to spot all little niggly bits that need to be finished off here and there, how the route runs in a sense for frame rate drops and vice versa. And I have to say it's a fantastic representation of the route. Say I can't say for accurate if it's like how it should be, but from my perspective it's a gorgeous route to run, and the scenery on it is to die for. Very picturesque.
It's beautiful. It is.
It is.
And I'm not gonna. I'm not being biased because I'm
No,
working
I'm
on the
not.
route. It is generally a lovely bit of kit. It is looking fantastic. And honestly, the guys who have worked on it, me, Will, John, SSS, and everyone who's put some work into it is just, you all deserve a massive pat on the back, really, because it is looking absolutely fantastic. And it will be available on both the Steam Sound Supreme website and our own website as well, which is a very nice gesture from SSS to not just make it an exclusive to them, as it were. And they're
Yeah.
helping us out by saying, yeah, you can host it on your site as well, as then that helps us build up a little bit. That helps us, get a little bit more known into the public, I suppose.
It brings out
And that
our
was,
brings up our portfolio, as it were.
yeah, yeah, and it's a very nice gesture from them to do that. And obviously, I'll give them a massive thank you for that as well. You are great, guys. Thank you for that. It does mean a hell of a lot to us who have worked on it
The,
to even say that. It's lovely.
as far as I'm aware, they are also helping with, is it ambient sounds for the route?
Yeah, they said they're going to add some custom ambient sounds, so some brand new sounds for to give it a little bit more interest to make it sound more realistic as you drive along. So yeah, I don't know what they could be. It could be birds singing. It could be sheep or something. God knows. But they've got some ambient sounds planned to bring it out and make it a more enjoyable experience. They've also donated a model of a loco, just like Will Burton has done with the Spa Valley route. But this time they have donated the old digital traction 4MT tender loco in the form of Green Knight, which is David Shepherd's former loco, which is a resident at the NYMR. But again, it's just nice to see these things getting donated, and it's great to be a part of this community and work as a team with everybody, because that's what we want to do. We want to, we want to reach out to other members of the community. We want to work and and produce content with people. That's what it's all about. It's not about all this, because I know that there's a lot of groups and that there's a lot of wibble and stuff. It's not about that. It's about being a team and working with others and enjoying what we do.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
Exactly.
So
in regards to where the route is at, like the stage of where the route is at, it's majorically done. It's just those niggly bits to be sorted, and then it's scenario creations, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's just a case of removing the glitches. Some have been removed, and some of the biggest glitches have been removed, which I'm so relieved of. And that's the New Bridge crossing problem, which we had, where for some reason the traffic would literally basically stop on the track instead of being stopped, like, behind the barriers.
Yeah.
So it was a bit funny actually, because you would get these cars like literally like these suicide cars almost trying to park on the track. And yeah, it was a bit of a funny glitch, but I'm glad that's been sorted now, because that was something that was a bit like, oh, that's a bit annoying, or we can't have that. But it's been sorted, so that's good. Yeah, it was just a case of what happened was, because we'd done a road swap for some of the roads as well.
Yeah.
Something happened to the boundaries of the crossing, and that was the problem.
Okay.
So the boundaries just needed to be moved back into the correct place, and then it was all working fine again. But yeah.
So hopefully North Yorkshire Moors will be out soonish. Don't want to keep
Again,
saying
that's another one that we're expecting to be out this year. It's the ones that we want to get out this year are the Mid Norfolk Railway and the North Norfolk. Sorry, the North Yorkshire Moors Railway. So we want the Mid Norfolk and the North Yorkshire Moors Railway to be released this year. That is the two that we want to be finished, really.
Yep.
Same with the Merlin, but again, we can't really give enough info on that to really suggest when that's going to be out or not.
Well, to be honest, the Merlin is most likely the first route of 2022 that's going to get released by BLS. That's the one.
You reckon? Yeah?
I reckon that's the one that's going to be well, as you say, it's just scenario creating to be done and the manual to be finished off, and then that's pretty much there then.
Yeah. So we'll get that one first, and then ideally we want the Mid Norfolk and NYMR to be done.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
Further updates, though, actually, just because I did accidentally mention that route, North Norfolk Railway is as far as I am aware, isn't coming through BLS anymore. I think that's going elsewhere now, because it was a debate going on. There was a bit of there was a case of a few dramas between Brad Wright and Oliver Brailsford over that route, and they didn't exactly know where it was going to come. They did originally say about it coming through BLS, and that's where we thought, oh well, that's cool, it will come through us. But then the mindset changed, and they've decided to put it elsewhere. The rumor has it will be on Steam Sound Supreme, but to be honest, I haven't heard any news on that at all either. So it hasn't been put on their Facebook page or nothing. So it's a tricky one, that one. So if anyone is wondering about that, then that's all I can really give you on that front. Is it's, as far as we know, it's not coming with us anymore. But we'll see what happens. Really.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
as we're talking about routes that aren't specifically about in these screenshots that we're talking about, um, so the only other two routes that have been announced, I will stress this, that have been announced already. There is more in the pipeline, but we're keeping those routes close to our chest, as it were, wasn't it? Keeping the cards close to our chest. So
yeah,
the
we
other
don't want those announced yet.
not just yet. So the other two routes that have been announced is obviously Peak Rail and Ecclesbourne Valley Railway.
Yes.
Um, the plan will be to have again another podcast with Jake, um, with Peak Rail, but that'll be more of like what we're going to do with the Mid Norfolk. It's going to be an update podcast regarding that route. So that's due whenever Jake can get me a load of screenshots for a podcast, and we'll be doing that as well. And as far as I'm aware, for Ecclesbourne, the Duffield station has been completed and put in, and the lads are working on the scenery around that area. And then it's the track work is going to be finished off as they progress through the scenery as well.
Yeah, it's also been completely rebuilt because we've decided to take another approach of that, because we had a lot of debates on whether to have it linked to the Just Trains Midland Main Line or not. But basically, it has come to our attention that it's easier just to put it as a separate route, because we would have had to have used the same track as what's on the Midland Main Line. And a lot of people would prefer having 3D track on preserved lines, so because you're going a slower speed and you're seeing more things, as it were.
Yeah.
So it just to have that feature, and just as well, to keep the frames down again, we've decided to just scrap the whole idea of it linking to the Just Trains Midland Main Line. We did it the same with the Peak Rail as well. And yeah, that's not going to happen now. So both them routes are being completely built from scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as we're coming
Oh,
to
can you just pause that a minute?
oh,
I
no,
want to talk.
missed it.
Ah,
I missed it.
no, no,
Missed it.
that was the face-on shot of that shed. I keep seeing it pop up. It's like whenever you want to talk about it, it doesn't pop up.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to talk about the fire buckets and the lamp, because they're both separate assets as well. So yeah, okay. It's only of you guys who have seen that photo of the shed. You'll notice that there is some fire buckets on the side there and the lamp above the door. Again, those are both custom assets by Steve. They are both separate. So you get some nice new fire bucket assets and a lamp, a modern lamp, which is kind of cool as well. It even has a little warning sticker on it, which is interesting. And it's HD as well. It's great. It's good use
Yeah.
for route builders. It's good. But one of the things that I do like about the fire buckets, and you'll see it when you get the route, and it's a little Easter egg. I will give one of them away. In the fire bucket closest to the door, you will see in the sand is fag butts, because obviously your staff has been smoking and that, having a cheeky fag or something, and then just dumped their fags into the fire bucket. It's just little details like that which are to be expected on the mid. There's a lot to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway,
Well,
I think that's the lamp huts finally spoken about now.
well, what I was
Yeah.
going to say before you jumped in on that, and before we missed the lamp hut, was as we're coming to the end of our little podcast here, I was just thought about maybe giving a few teasers of what's in the pipeline for routes, for BLS. So to give people ideas, these are routes that have not been announced. They will be, but give it time. So there is two routes that are real life routes and are being represented. I think one of them's been represented before. One of them is yet to be represented in Train Simulator. And then we have, let me double check how many we got. 1, 2.
Well, I think I
We've
already
got.
know why one of them hasn't been represented in Transim yet.
You should know.
Because honestly, the track work is atrocious. It is one of the most complicated gradient profiles in the world to recreate. So yeah, so there's a little clue for you guys.
There's a good one.
It is one of the most complicated gradient profiles in the whole history of heritage railways. So yeah, let's just put that out there.
Yeah.
Mm.
So as I said, there's 2 real life routes in the making, and then there is 5 fictional routes either being revamped or brand new fictional routes. So a bit like the Merlin Light Railway, but I'm pretty sure some of these other ones. Well, there's one fictional route that has just gone to town on the absolute detailing of it. It's this one will be for it is going to alienate some people, unfortunately, but it is going to be a very high spec route, and you're going to need a very high powerful PC to run it. The other routes, yep, they are going to be detailed, but they're not going to be as intense as this one single fictional route. But they are all in the making. There's no accurate time of when we want them all out, and when the project leaders decide, yeah, I want it to be announced, then obviously we will let you guys all know by all our social media platforms. So, is there anything else you want to add to it, Sam?
To be honest, I think I've pretty much done everything that I wanted to speak about. I mean, there's not, as far as I can think of, there's not much else we can say. I would really like to do a podcast with Benjamin at some point on the Spa Valley.
That will happen. We will make that happen.
Yeah, so if he is watching this video, Ben, just let us know when you can do that, because that would be great to just have an in-depth talk more about Spa Valley. I mean, I think I've mentioned quite a lot of it in this video just now, but I think it would be better if some information was to come from you, considering that you was the project leader of the revamp. So it would just be nice to hear the origin story of the route, really, out to the public, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah, it would.
Yeah, yeah. But
Right.
yeah, so, and it's the same with Jake as well. You know, it would be nice to have a bit of talk about Peak Rail, especially, and with Will as well, because Will's working closely with Jake on that.
Yep.
It will be nice to find out a little bit more about that.
Yep. No,
And hopefully we'll do it. Hopefully we'll do it in the future.
I'm trying to get these podcasts out at a fairly regular pace, but it's getting people to do it. It's grabbing people at the right time. So, yeah, I think we're coming to the end of it. So, thank you everyone for tuning into this latest episode of the BLS podcast. Please do like and subscribe to the channel, because we have been checking, and there's 75% of you lot that watch our videos that aren't subscribed. So please hit that subscribe button. It'll help us massively to see our community get bigger, and for people to appreciate our work. That's what we do like to see.
Yes, agreed.
And as I said before, come along, join the Discord server as well, and you get to talk to us in the voice chats and voice your opinions on things. And that's what we're all here for.
And it should all be in the link. The links and stuff should all be in the description of this video, shouldn't they? It should have all
all the links and where you need to go. All the gym jam is going to be at the bottom of the video in the description for you. So, that's goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from Mr. Beeman.
Goodbye, Mr. Beeman. Thank you, everyone, and take care.